Hello, everyone, and good evening here. I would like to talk about being a grandmother, a different kind of grandmother. Like, I consider myself a spiritual grandmother. This may seem unusual. The people that are the closest to me know that I never had any children. Neither did I adopt any children. I'm not even fostering any children. I live with my husband and two cats. But you may not see here my silver hairs. I am now in my early 50s, and I consider myself blessed in a way. I consider my later years a sort of testament to the wisdom, well, just to the life experience. It's kind of like a fruit ripening. There was a time in my life, in my early 30s, when I was at university studying theology, seriously considering becoming a church minister. I wanted to be a spiritual mother to many. And there were some serious health challenges. There were some women's health issues that I needed to deal with, and I needed a hysterectomy. And there were other challenges and difficulties that I was dealing with. I would have liked nothing more than to be able to go and get my degree and then go on to get a master's in divinity or comparative religions. This did not happen. And that is okay. During these many years, I still did research and studied on my own and did different volunteer positions to be able to serve people, to practice pastoral listening, to practice different sacred duties and different spiritual rituals, and to practice different, let's say, around music and around community building and around facilitating groups and public speaking, giving inspirational messages, lecturing, all the things that I would have normally done had I been hired as a church minister. Also include volunteering to feed people, prepare meals, teach people about nutrition, hygiene, many things. So I consider this an extension of my spiritual mothering. And now, 20 years later, since I studied theology at St. Paul University, which I didn't finish, I look and sometimes I'm hard on myself and I think, well, I could have done this. I know in my heart what my passion and what my calling is. Believe me, if I could have, if money was not an issue, and if I could have been able to study at my leisure part-time, I would have done everything I could in my power. I really would have, to get these degrees, these trainings, these things. I want to stress that I'm here to champion the underprivileged, the marginalized. And I'm here to bring about equality and equity and social justice as much as I can. I've experienced this in my own life. Barriers to education, barriers to, what would I call it? I look at it now as there's something deeper going on. There's there's such a thing as too much of a good thing. I was looking on Facebook recently and I saw about some man who had amassed, he had acquired like 15 or 20 university degrees, and I don't know, he won some award for being the most educated person. And apparently he spent his entire life studying, and I don't know, I guess he's some type of genius, like what you would call like a freak of sorts. I mean, I don't know, it seemed like he was doing 2 or 3 bachelors at the same time. I have met such people. I literally have met them on Zoom, and I've even met some in person in my city. And I'm not sure that having all this book knowledge and all this theoretical knowledge makes anybody any wiser. And I think what's really lacking is common sense. And I think that if we're living in a society where we're setting the barrier, and I think so many people can relate to this, where we're setting the barrier so ridiculously high that we're making people in debt for $100,000, especially to do really essential, important things like be an engineer or a doctor. I don't think we need that many more lawyers. Thank you. So I'm talking about essential things like people that are building up society and building up the infrastructure and keeping our society safe and either cooler in the summer or warmer in the winter. You know, my hat is off to engineers. My father was an engineer. I would have liked to become an engineer. It seems it would have been very useful. What I'm trying to say is that we could have all this kind of indoctrination, but we haven't really developed critical thinking skills. We haven't looked deep within. We haven't done any soul searching. We haven't really questioned ourselves. We haven't really aspired to higher ideals or sought for nobility or beauty in the arts, for example, in literature and theater, philosophy, poetry. So what's really important to take away from this is I have not allowed unfortunate circumstances in my life to make me feel any less wise or any less of a leader. And I do not look at it like, oh, I don't have children, so I must be incomplete. Oh, I'm empty. Oh, something's broken. Oh, something is defective in me. Oh, my womb did not bear fruits, etc., etc. Did you know that 30% of women will never have children? And did you know that in the past, women were shamed and blamed and condemned and almost persecuted for not being able to conceive, when really I just think of it as natural selection. My goodness, we cannot all have children. We cannot all have 16 or 20 children. Like, it would be a disaster. It would be like that scientific experiment when there's too many mice in the aquarium in a closed system. The mice start to eat each other. Now, let's be real, people. Let's be real. You know, there's more to life than to have children. And I think we celebrate when a family has children because we are celebrating their sign of growth. But that is not to say that everybody's growth will be having children, right? Imagine if we lived in a society where every one of us became a hairdresser and an engineer and an astronaut. I mean, it's just ridiculous. What would you do with everybody being a hairdresser? Well, who's going to be the nurse? Who's going to be the janitor? Who's going to paint the walls? Who's going to play hockey? Who's going to be the florist? So, no, we cannot ever put any career on a pedestal and say, don't even put church minister on a pedestal, because I did for many years. I realized part of it was I was doing it for the wrong reason. I was doing this because I thought it would make me a better person. I didn't understand that it's really about serving and being in a role and ministering. And it's not really what interests me. I'm more interested in being an author and a motivational speaker. I'm not really interested in the nuts and bolts of the daily grind of all the pastoral duties and administrative things. and also all the protocol and the diplomacy and the tact and the P's and Q's and all that, minding one's. That's not me at all. Throughout my life, I've thought of different careers. For health reasons, I couldn't have been a police officer because of my feet that I'm born with. I mean, I've thought of being a medical doctor because I think health is very important. I've thought of nursing. Nursing doesn't appeal to me as much. Again, I like that theory and kind of hands-on practical. That's why I like doctoring. It's not that doctoring is more important than nursing. I've come to see that nursing has its role to play. But, you know, if we look at nursing and then we look at the word nurturing, okay, if it's also important to nurture in each other an appreciation for theater, for example, for Shakespeare, which I was exploring this summer in greater depth, which got me interested in French theater and Molière and the play Tartuffe, which I'm reading now in English, and I'm going to start reading it in French and hopefully read the original. But where I'm going with this is my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, was the most important person in my life. She was very, very special to me. And I've always felt a connection with grandmothers, and I kind of adopted some older ladies kind of as grandmothers in my life, and they're very special to me. And grandmothers of different cultures and different races, different religions, vastly different religions. I mean, like, we're talking multi-faith, like not just different denominations, not just ecumenical, but multi-faith. That's right. So, and, you know, so you know, I read a comment that really saddened me today. It was saying that if people are adults, nothing should ever be explained to them. The comment was sort of saying, once someone is an adult, it is not appropriate or polite to explain anything to them. I love when people explain things to me. I want to keep learning. And I want to learn the better way, and sometimes the best way to do things. And I appreciate mentors. I appreciate guides. I appreciate the people helping me learn French. I appreciate the people helping me learn Spanish. And I think that those of you watching my channel, you're here, perhaps it's out of curiosity. Who knows why? But also because, you know, it is okay to rediscover our humanity through storytelling, through kind of like, you could call it almost like a fireside chat. Except I don't have a fireside here. I have a lovely digital piano. That's why I kind of have this sort of more in the dark, and because it's evening and it's sort of like, it can be a soothing thing. You know, some of us didn't grow up with grandmothers. Some of us didn't even grow up with a mother. But I consider like those times when I was sitting next to my grandmother in the living room and she was watching her black and white movies with Clark Gable, who looked like her husband, my dear grandfather. And my grandmother would just sort of every now and then mutter off. It wasn't even like she was giving wisdom. She was sometimes just giving her opinion, her perspective, her discernment. And it's nice. And my grandmother was very respectful with me, very diplomatic, very kind, very inclusive, very caring. She was just an amazing person. I can never say enough about my grandmother, who was born in August and also passed away in August. She was very special to me. And this last day in August, it's kind of my last day to have a deep reflection of her. And so that's why I thought I would do this video about grandmothering, and also about having a sacred grandmother, a spiritual grandmother, finding someone in your community, and they don't have to be a mother or a grandmother, but for you, they are someone that you can just, you hang out with them in a kitchen and you just watch little hacks, little things they're doing. Or maybe it could be this Italian cooking show with Nonna. I hope I'm saying it correctly. And then she was teaching how to make the eggplant parmesan and the old-fashioned way, and lots of eggs and oil and like just getting her hands dirty. And she's just, there she is. She's just going away, and I just find a new source of energy. I know it sounds strange because you would think in menopause I have less energy, but I have less tolerance for nonsense. Like I just don't have it anymore. Like I'm not staying up to watch a B movie. I want to know in advance who's acting in the movie, who directed it, who did the cinematography, on and on and on. Like I just don't have time anymore. I don't have time for clutter, for filler, for fluff. I don't want to eat butter that's actually margarine. Yeah, there's a lot of that going around. I don't want to eat olive oil that's cut with canola oil, and I just don't have time for that. And I like how, as we get older, we become fierce. And then we wear purple clothes with red clothes because we just don't give a blankety blank. We just don't care. Like I don't care. Like for the longest time I wanted to cut my hair short. Well, shorter. I was down to my knees and I kept thinking, well, what will my husband think? And what will people think? And like my whole identity was based around having long hair. And then I just said, excuse me, it's my hair. It's me washing it. It's me combing it. And frankly, I have ultra fine hair. It does not lend itself to being long. Even at this length, I have it longer in the front and shorter in the back. And even this length is a little bit too long. It still gets tangled if I don't put in the leave-in conditioner. So it's all these things, because sometimes I get this fatigue, not this again, and I've gone to this place for 35 years and they don't remember me and they don't recognize me and blah, blah, blah. Yes, but I didn't go consistently, and that's okay. It's on me to change, and I forgive myself, and it's all good. But I'm changing things now. I'm stepping up my game. And along with this kind of exasperation comes with this newfound determination that I'm just going to dig my heels in, and that's it. I'm decluttering. I did it to my hair. I'm doing it to my wardrobe. I'm now going through my books. That's it. That's all. Goodbye. And it's like that now with people. It's like, hello, sorry, I don't have a lot of time, but come over here, my friend. I love you. Here's a hug. It was great to see you. Here's some food. Here's a pat of encouragement. Here's one word of inspiration. And I send you on your way. I send you on your way with much healing, much love, much joy in changing. And just as the leaves in fall in Canada and the northern part of the United States, the leaves change color for the deciduous trees, the trees with leaves instead of needles. Well, it's nice that the trees change color, but the trees are in their autumn. Just as I, in my 50s, am entering the autumn of my life. And it's okay. Because it's like traveling the world, and it's nice to visit a new place. And so this, being 52 years old, is a new place. And it's demanding a steeper learning curve than 51 or 50. Okay, I can handle that. So we go to bed earlier. So we watch one movie instead of two. So we skip movies with these certain actors. Like, just cut to the chase, cut to the chase. I'm not a TV girl, never liked TV. I just like movies. I just kind of want it all encapsulated in 1.5 hours to 2 hours. That's it. Then I'm kind of done with the story idea. I don't like things dragged on and on, unless it's Sherlock Holmes or Hercule Poirot. I always have time for those guys. But everything else is, no. It's okay for things to end. It's okay for seasons to change. It's all right. It's okay. And there's a lot of women that don't want to believe it, but there's beauty in being older. Yes, there's beauty because we soften with age. We become more loving. I have a deeper sense of loving in my 50s than I had in my 40s. And I'm more loving now than I was a month ago. So be willing to just let go of all that, those things that we think are the fountain of youth and, okay, oh, we think it's so special. Well, our body is changing because our body is like the leaf on the tree. So that's all. That's what's happening. And it's okay. See you in the next video. Be well.